Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something a lot of people wonder about. Warren Buffett. Specifically, what was his single most successful investment?
Right. And it sounds simple, but when you actually look into it, the answer gets complicated fast.
Exactly. So our mission here is to really explore this, looking at Buffett's investing genius from a few different angles.
Yeah. We need a framework. We're thinking about it in terms of, say, 4 dimensions. Absolute profit, just the raw dollars. Then return on investment, the ROI percentage.
Okay.
Also, its philosophical impact, how it changed his thinking. And finally, its role as a strategic cornerstone for Berkshire Hathaway itself.
Got it. And we'll look at some key examples, right? Like
Okay.
Apple, GIQ.
And See's Candies? Definitely See's Candies. That one's fascinating for the philosophical shift.
Okay, let's unpack these then. It's kind of amazing how one deal could, well, redirect an investor like Buffett. He paid $25 million in 72.
Which wasn't a huge amount even then, but the price tag relative to earnings.
Right. The PE ratio was, what, 12 times? That felt pretty steep compared to his old cigar butt style, you know?
Totally. That old style was all about finding struggling companies, super cheap, hoping for one last puff of profit. Buying something like See's at 12x earnings was different.
So what changed?
Well, I think what's fascinating here is See's basically taught him that famous lesson. A wonderful business at a fair price is better than a fair business at a wonderful price.
The quality over cheapness argument.
Exactly. It was about finding companies with a strong brand, pricing power, what he later called a moat, that competitive advantage.
Right, the moat.
See's had that, and it just churned out cash. They put in only about $32 million more over decades, and it generated something like $1.35 billion pre-tax. It showed him the power of enduring quality.
And that thinking influenced later buys, like Coke and even Apple.
Absolutely. It was a fundamental shift.
Okay, so See's was the philosophical turning point. Let's shift gears to ROI and strategy. Geico comes to mind immediately. A total legend there.
Oh, yeah. Geico is huge for both ROI and as a strategic piece for Berkshire.
He actually dipped his toe in way back in 1951, right?
Right.
Made a quick 50% return, but then kind of missed the boat for a while.
He did. The big move was later. In 1976, Geico was in real trouble, near bankruptcy. He stepped in, invested about $45.7 million for a third of the company.
And the return.
Just staggering. That $45.7 million became nearly $2.4 billion by 1995. That's over 5,000% gain right there.
Wow.
And the total return, if you factor it all in, is quoted around 48,000%. Just incredible numbers. But you said it was also strategic.
Hugely strategic. Because of Geico's insurance business, Berkshire got access to float.
Okay, explain float again quickly.
It's the insurance premiums collected up front, which Geico gets to hold and invest before paying out claims. It's essentially low-cost, stable capital.
Like borrowing money at nearly zero cost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that float became the fuel, the engine for Berkshire's other investments. It powered the compounding machine. Got it. So Geico wasn't just a great stock pick. It powered the whole enterprise. Okay, philosophy with C's, ROI, and strategy with Geico. What about just sheer profit, the biggest pile of cash?
Well, for that, you really have to look at Apple. Especially in recent years, it became the king of absolute dollar gains for Berkshire.
By 2020, the unrealized gains were enormous, weren't they?
Over $89 billion, which
No.
is massive. And it's interesting how he viewed Apple.
Yeah, he didn't see it as a tech company, right?
No, more like a consumer products company. He focused on the brand loyalty, the ecosystem. Kind of like Coca-Cola, actually. It fit his moat philosophy perfectly, just in a modern context.
So what about the recent news, selling off a big chunk in 2024? Almost half the position, wasn't it?
Yeah, a significant reduction. But the explanation wasn't really bearish on Apple itself. It ties into something Buffett calls the paradox of scale.
Meaning Berkshire's just too big now.
Essentially, yeah. With cash hitting nearly $277 billion, finding places to invest that really move the needle becomes incredibly difficult. Selling some Apple frees up liquidity for potentially huge future opportunities if they appear.
So it's less about Apple's prospects and more about Berkshire's own size constraints.
That seems to be the message. It's a high-class problem, I suppose, but a real constraint for managing such vast sums.
It highlights how his principles apply across different eras, but also
Right.
how the game changes even for him, which maybe leads to a broader point. What about Berkshire Hathaway itself? Isn't that arguably his greatest investment?
You could definitely make that case. He took a failing textile mill and transformed it into this massive, diversified holding company. The compounded annual return since 1965 is legendary, around 19.9%.
That transformation itself is incredible. But as you said, Berkshire now faces that paradox of scale.
Right. Its size limits its choices now, which ironically might create opportunities for individual investors, people like you listening, who can still invest in smaller companies that Berkshire can't even consider anymore.
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah.
And it connects to something else Buffett often says.
Yeah.
When asked about his best investment ever, his answer is sometimes surprising.
Yeah, he often points to investing in yourself.
What does he mean by that exactly?
He argues that improving your own skills, especially something like communication, can boost your personal value by 50% or more. It's an asset nobody can tax or take away. It's about building your own capabilities.
So, thinking about it all, there isn't one single answer to most successful, is there?
No, it really depends on the dimension you prioritize. C's was huge for philosophy. Jayaco delivered incredible ROI and strategic fuel. Apple brought the massive absolute profits.
Each played a different, crucial role.
Exactly. And underpinning it all is the creation of Berkshire Hathaway itself, the compounding machine built on that consistent philosophy.
So maybe the real takeaway isn't about picking his best investment, but thinking about our own, building on that idea of investing in yourself.
We'll leave you with this thought. Reflecting on Buffett's advice, what one skill could you focus on developing right now that might significantly increase your own value, maybe even by that 50% he talks about? Something to consider. Until next time on The Deep Dive.